Hello again, Matt Standridge here. I am going to be walking through a case today of doing indirect bonding trays for a phase 1 treatment that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to bring up, and this is actually the same patient that I'd already seen before. We actually did the Ceph tracing with her. Okay, so I'm bringing up the models just as such here, okay? Now, the reason I'm wanting to do this, kind of show you here. So she's already has some restriction going on here, and if I showed her pano shows some really blocked out cuspids. And so we're going to do some phase 1 treatment to broaden her arches, develop her arches, and then I'll be doing some serial extraction on these canines to help promote uprighting and promote guidance of her blocked out cuspids. So, but this video isn't to go into the this video isn't necessarily to go into the diagnostic side of things. I'm just going to show you how I'm going to work up this case. So here we go. So when going through this, we hold shift and we left click. Now if you notice here, this lateral is not fully in yet. I will not be bracketing that. So I'm going to hit shift. I'm going to right click to say that that tooth is missing. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and move over to go to left side because that's all the teeth available for marking on the right. And then when I say finish marking. So there we go. Now to pretty this up and to also just less stuff that we have to print, I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to start highlighting where I want to cull or what I want to erase. I want to release off the shift key. So I'm just holding the mouse now. I'm no longer holding shift. I release my mouse button, and then that's going to delete all of that out. So that's just less that we have to print. There we go. And then I'm going to have this close the model. Alright, so now that the model is closed, and you should see that, very good. Alright, next we'll move on and start marking the mandibular. So again, just holding shift. Now these premolars here, I'm treating like they're bicuspids, so that's what's going on there. Now, if I'm going to be treating this via phase 1 as we teach in the Garrity orthodontic seminars, where we actually use premolars. We do bracket up primary teeth. Alright, I'm going to delete this a little bit here, just kind of trim this up a little bit. That's pretty good. Close the model. So yeah, I'm actually going to be going through archwire sequence and actually bracketing up these primary teeth. And again, this isn't really to show diagnostics or mechanics of it. If you were doing this on a regular ortho patient, you would be treating it just like you would any regular ortho patient. Okay, so here we're just going to spend some time tidying up. I hold shift to draw the new margins. That makes it a lot quicker. Now, because I'm doing these for indirect bonding trays, I'm not doing these for aligner therapy. My margins are not going to have to be as precise. I still want them in the ballpark, but because I'm not actually going to be going through movements here, you can. There is a cool way to use this software and basically simulate your treatment, but I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently. Since this is phase 1, I'm just going to be placing the brackets right on the teeth, and I'm not going to actually be going through my simulation first. I'll show on another video on a more just a regular comprehensive patient on how you could do that. But for this sake, I am not going to be going, for this case, I'm not going to be going through the whole planning of the case there. Okay, so there we go. Pretty sweet. Like I said, if I was doing a liner case, or if I was actually digitally going to be moving these teeth, I would be spending more time on this, making it prettier. But for the sake of what I need to do today, that's not really needed. Alright, so here we are. So again, I am not going to be going through moving of the teeth or anything, so I am actually going to skip this part. Obviously, if you're doing a liner therapy or if you're wanting to do a full simulation of your orthodontic treatment beforehand and then making your indirect bonding trays off of the end result, you could certainly do that. But here I'm just going to go to edit steps. I'm not going to actually be moving teeth right now. There we go. And then we're going to add brackets and design indirect bonding tray. Alright, so I'm going to add, first I'm going to add my brackets individually here. Now what's nice about it is if you did go through your orthodontics simulation, you could very well get everything lined up the way you want it and then do this add brackets using this curve here. But here I'm going to be adding add brackets. I am going to be using the Roth prescription here. Upper right, central, boom. Okay. And then I'm going to be centering this up a bit. Sorry, my computer's being a little bit slow here from So the idea of this might be weird to you if you haven't done phase 1 treatment before and bracketed up primary teeth, but it is a very valid treatment, and that's actually our preferred way of doing things, how we treat phase 1 and how we teach in the Garrity orthodontic seminars is by bracketing up primary teeth. Okay, so that does pretty well for the upper arch. Now we'll do the same thing on the lower arch, and again I will time lapse this so that way you're not having to watch me dink with things. Alright gang, so now we've got our brackets set roughly to where we want them. Okay, now we'll hit continue to prepare aligners. Alright, so we'll start on the maxilla here. And I'm going to hide opposing arch, and then this is just like if you were to, well, hold shift and draw, and we're just going to draw over this just like we would if we were doing a surgical guide. And I want to go pretty well along the gum line here. And I want to cover up the bracket quite a bit, because that's just going to help give me more retention. I used to try to divide it up kind of mid brackets, so try to go in between the slots here. I've stopped doing that, and I've started instead going pretty much all the way over the bracket, and that just helps give me a little bit more grip because it is going to delete any undercuts. There we go. Might be able to drag these down just a little bit. I want it covering up the brackets pretty well there. Then we'll go ahead and we'll do the same thing on the mandible. Okay, cool. Hit continue to export models. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and apply a label here. Alright, so I did that for the maxilla. Remember, we also will need to do one for the mandible as well. Okay, wonderful. And so before we close this out, we'll want to save. Always make sure you save. Okay, and here we go, and this kind of demonstrates what that file will look like. And so you can see here has room for those bracket slots, and there we go. So in the next video, I will show you basically how to print these and fabricate your IBTs. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed.